welcome back to my channel. My name is Lexi. I am a New York City vocal coach, but I've also taught hundreds of students all over the world how to sing. And today I'm so excited because we're going to be talking about the second Wicked movie, For Good. I am really excited to chat about this because I teach all styles and genres, a lot of pop, a lot of rock, but musical theater is my bread and butter. That is my favorite thing in the world to sing. It's kind of what got me into the performing arts. And this movie coming out was really special to me and a lot of other people because we grew up singing the Wicked songs and are so familiar with the stage production and also of the stage recordings, the original cast recordings that came from it. So this second movie was really cool because I thought that they stayed a little more true to the original score, to the original Broadway cast recording. I think that they took some liberties vocally with riffs and runs and other things, but for the most part, I really thought that they stayed true to the music. It's always a hard balance, especially when you're bringing a show, like making a movie musical from it, because everyone has all these expectations and there are so many fan favorites from this movie, especially from the second part. Like we have For Good, we have No Good Deed, just all of these iconic songs that I wanted to make sure that they did them justice, but also had some creative liberties to explore and do what they want with it. And there were also two new songs in the show. I believe Elphaba and Glinda each got their own song, which I thought was a great addition, and I think it was necessary in order to make it two movies. But I did think that those songs really worked in the show and kind of gave a little bit more depth to the characters, because a lot of the times in the musical they sung a lot together at the end, but the second movie they did want each character to kind of have their own moment to shine, especially Glinda. I feel like she doesn't really have a lot of solo moments, so the song about her bubble and kind of expanding out into the world, I thought that was really special, and it was just a nice like break. Sometimes you need a little bit of a vocal break and also just a musical break. So now let's talk about Ariana Grande's performance a little bit in the second movie. I think we can all speak for ourselves that we had a previous notion of Ariana's voice before and her pop rock sound, and it's really belty and she has a lot of riffs in it. And I was a little skeptical, not gonna lie, going into the last movie and also this movie of how she was gonna hold up as a soprano, but obviously she's had so much vocal training, and I know like leading up to this movie too, she got into voice lessons again, which was so important for her because it is a totally different mechanism singing soprano, high soprano, which is what Glinda mostly sings in her head voice, versus belting and doing more mixy stuff and more chest voicey stuff, and even just the style too. I think I was really curious to see how she would transition styles, but I really think that she did it so seamlessly, and I think she did a good job at disconnecting herself, Ariana, her artist self, as a person from Glinda, who is now this entirely different character. I think there were certain moments where her regular R&B sound came through a little bit, but I don't think that it really was the overall character choice for Glinda. I think it just popped in every now and then and was kind of able to pick it up, but to an untrained ear it probably sounded exactly the same. And I think she does an amazing job at just staying calm when she's hitting those high notes, especially during No One Mourns the Wicked, which was in the first movie and also in the second movie too, when she does the descant that goes all the way up to the top, the like she just really stays so calm and transitions up to those higher notes so nicely. And it was almost like a masterclass in getting that nice resonant but also relaxed sound from those high notes. And I could tell that she's definitely been trained and obviously has been training for so long. Like her beginnings were in Broadway from the musical 13. So you could definitely tell that she was ready for this role, and she's definitely been preparing for it. I feel like we saw some things in her range that we haven't seen before from this movie. So I think that was really cool. Probably also a cool experience for her to really just stretch her limits. I do think though that singing soprano and singing head voice, and this is just my personal opinion, but it is a little bit easier to lock into because there is an element of grace when it comes to the amount of space that you can open up in the back and the amount that you can kind of relax into, as opposed to when you're singing pop or more contemporary musical theater. There's this really focused space, and it has to be super resonant and buzzy to fit into. Otherwise, it's just going to also sound classical. So I think sometimes it's harder to transition from classical to like pop musical theater than it is to go the other way, because you're just kind of relaxing the tone and you're just relaxing the space in the back. I think the classical tone is a lot more natural for singers, as opposed to pop and rock. You're kind of going against that, and you're putting a lot more pressure on your vocal cords, on your vocal folds, as opposed to when you're singing classical music. So now let's talk about Cynthia Erivo. She is one of my favorite vocalists of all time. I've always admired her voice, and this second movie really just made me fall in love with her voice even more. Just going back to what we talked about before of taking liberties. I think in the first movie she took maybe a little bit too many liberties with riffing and opting up and stuff, which I appreciated because I'm a voice teacher, but I do think that at times it kind of took away from the score and just the integrity of the piece. It's always a fine line, so that's just my opinion. But I think in the second movie she really just like put in a little bit of her own style and then just really let the music kind of speak for itself, especially in No Good Deed. I was expecting to hear a little bit more opt-ups from her, but I think it was chef's kiss. It was the perfect amount of variety and uniqueness. She definitely made it her own. And honestly, now I'm kind of curious if they are gonna go put this on the stage, if the two of them are gonna be in the show together. I'd love to hear in the comments what you guys think, if you think that this is gonna come to Broadway or not. I don't know. I mean, Broadway's been going through an interesting time, so maybe we need that in the industry right now. So I think that it would just be so cool to see them on stage, and I loved the choice that the two of them made to sing a lot of the stuff live, especially with all the stuff that they're doing, all the costumes that they're wearing. I'm sure they had to do so many takes, but it made it sound a little bit more authentic than other movie musicals by having them singing it live. I mean, I'm sure that there was a certain amount of editing that went into it and just a little bit of fine tuning, but I can definitely tell that they were just singing, and it was really impressive, the fact that they did that. And I think it is a little bit easier to do that, to sing live as opposed to on stage, because they do have breaks in between each of the songs. Like, you know, you would film a scene and then you'd have a break, so you do have time to kind of rest your voice, and obviously you always have another take if it's not the take that you would like. But I'm sure they probably didn't get that many takes, honestly. Like, with such a big production like this, I'm sure whatever takes that were done were mostly for the crew and for filming, and not really to get the best vocal take. I think they're just so impressive, both of them, and the fact that they just locked in. And I know that even in the first movie, Cynthia was doing all these like flips and all these like special effects were going on, and she was, you know, soaring through the sky. So I think that was just so cool to see that they both decided to opt for that, especially because they're both live performing actors to start. Like, Cynthia was in The Color Purple, Ariana was in 13. So I loved that they chose these two actors for this show, because you could tell that they are theater first. You could just tell that they were really enjoying the time together, and they were also prioritizing the storytelling. They weren't just focusing on the singing. And that's what I tell my beginner students all the time, is that even if your technique is perfect, or even if it's not perfect, the one main thing that most people are holding on to is how you made them feel. And I can say from my point of view that I was sobbing like a little baby by the end of the movie. And that's what it's all about. So I can sit here and nitpick all these little vocal technique stuff that they did and choices that they made. But at the end of the day, like, I was crying. They got a physical reaction from me. So in my mind, that that's a success vocally and through storytelling. That is why we sing, is to tell a story. And I think that they did just that. So if you haven't seen the Wicked movie already, please do so. Listen to the soundtrack. And if you are a singer and you want to get a little bit of extra help aside from YouTube tutorials and TikToks, I am teaching a group class. It's called the Voice Gym, and it's a subscription-based program, so you could join anytime, and you get a community of many amazing beginner singers. You get a ton of content. You get live master classes with me so that you really can see what your individual voice needs. And of course, I'm teaching one-on-one lessons now. My studio is almost booked, so if you want to get in on a lesson with me or into the group class, please click the link below in the description, and thank you for watching.